Nightcrawler is the 2014 debut of director Dan Gilroy, who incidentally also wrote the movie, and stars a main character played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's supported by a relatively small but strong supporting cast consisting of Riz Ahmed, Bill Paxton, and Rene Russo. Now, the film is pretty unique. There are some similarities to other films, but overall it's hard to relate the film to others. It's the kind of film that you need to see to fully appreciate the story. And it's the kind of film also that, at least I would say, you can't really get into the story too much without spoiling the majority of the film. Because this isn't a typical hero goes on a quest kind of film. It's more a character study of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and it has been said that this film is quite possibly his best work to date, and I think I may agree with that. This is a fantastic performance from him, but not just from him, from everyone in the film. They are not heroes. There are no heroes in this film. They are all flawed characters, and I like that. It's realistic. It's different. It doesn't present the film as anyone being particularly in the right or in the wrong. It just presents them as doing what they do because of whatever personal reasons they have. And although you may not agree with them, you can relate to them. Now, the film was both critically and commercially a great success. It cost around $8.5 million to make and made over 50. So financially, it was a great success, but also critically, the vast majority of reviews of Nightcrawler are overwhelmingly positive. Some saying, as I mentioned earlier, that this could even be Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance. Now, some people have referred to Jake Gyllenhaal's character in Nightcrawler as being a creepy character, and I can completely understand why they would say that. He is, to some degree, creepy, and that, of course, will be based on what kind of person you are as a viewer. Personally, I view him as more of a tragic character rather than a necessarily creepy one, because by definition a creepy person, again without spoiling anything, generally does things because they want to be malicious in some kind of way. Jake Gyllenhaal's character doesn't really approach things that way. He approaches things from much more of a amoral approach. He doesn't view things in right and wrong. He will just do whatever is necessary to succeed in his situation. He doesn't even think about right and wrong or how it will affect other people. Now, as far as our individual ratings, first of all, of course, we have the story and plot. And for the story and plot of Nightcrawler, I'm going to give it a strong 8. Because although the story itself is actually very simple, it's almost as simple a story as you can get, it doesn't even necessarily have a typical story as such. It's more, as I said, a character study of a period of time in a person's life, or in the lives of a few characters. It's not really a story in the traditional sense, but the way it's laid out, the way it's presented, is good, and it does a lot with what it has to work with, so I'm giving it a strong 8. As far as the characters and their motivations, well, I'm going to have to give the film a 10. Because although, as I said, the cast isn't particularly big, there are only 4 or 5 primary characters, each one of the characters, though different in their own unique way, are all relatable in a unique way. So overall, it's a very, very strong 10, most certainly so. As far as the visuals and effects, I'm actually going to give the film an 8, and to any who have perhaps already seen the film, this may seem a bit strange, because of course there are very, very few special effects in the film. I don't believe there's any CGI in the film that I noticed, so why so high a rating? Well, in the case of this film, it's more about the ambient mood of the film. The majority of the film takes place at night, and personally, I love the way nighttime feels. I love the look of nighttime, the smell, the ambient temperature, everything about it appeals to me. And one of the great things about this film, the camera work, the lighting, etc., it puts you there. It makes you actually feel like you're out in the night. And I absolutely love that. So although traditional special effects, etc., aren't really in this film, The visuals are absolutely fantastic, the camera angles and shots are great, and I loved the way this film looked. So overall, it's an 8. As far as the audio and soundtrack, again, I'm going to rate it very high, because the music in this film, performed by James Newton Howard, is fantastic. The film opens with a montage of nighttime shots accompanied by what I believe to be some fantastic opening music, which then recurs throughout the film in different parts. And to be honest, had that music been to the foreground of the film more often, I would have rated it even higher, because I absolutely love this soundtrack. So overall, it's another strong 8 from me. And finally, for the entertainment and rewatchability factor of the film, I'm going to score it slightly lower for this one, because although personally I really like this film and I've watched it a couple of times, it's not really the kind of film that will, from most people, be highly rewatchable. In order to really want to rewatch this film, you do most definitely need to be a specific type of viewer, and I feel that I am that type of viewer. I enjoy this film and I can rewatch it and enjoy it just as much, if not more. For some people, though, that definitely will not be the case. This is not a universally appealing film. You do need to be a very specific type of person to really enjoy the film. And I don't mean on some kind of higher thinking level. I mean pure entertainment. So overall, for the entertainment and rewatchability factor, I'm going to give the film a 7. Because obviously that's the most personal of my ratings. And although I do love the film, I do have to recognise that some people won't as much, and that does kind of affect the rating. And even for me personally, although I enjoy the film, it's not necessarily the kind of film that I'll put on any time I fancy watching something. So although the rewatchability is good, it's not necessarily fair to put it as high as some others, which I would choose over this. So overall, this film scores a very respectable 4.1 out of 5 as an overall score, which, for a film on such a low budget with such a simple story and so few main characters to work with, that really is a great score. And my overall verdict of Nightcrawler is, if you haven't seen it, of course I would recommend checking it out. But I will add the caveat that, as I mentioned earlier, this is not a film for everyone. So although I would definitely recommend checking it out at least once, don't necessarily go into the film expecting to love it. It's not that kind of film. It's not necessarily artsy, but it's certainly not for everyone. But that's it overall for my review of 2014's Nightcrawler. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.